Hi, this is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. Here to make what might look like a pretty tricky pose, pretty not tricky. This is Visvamitrasana. We're going to start off in a high lunge. So make sure you have a nice long lunge, approximately 90 degrees in front. We're going to turn your back foot flat so you're in a heel to arch alignment. I've got my right foot forward right now. I'm going to take my right hand to the inside and see if I can bend down so low that I can get my right shoulder underneath my right knee, okay? I take my hand to the back of my leg and push to squish, just like I would in a Visvamitrasana, to get my shoulder way under. Let me show this from another point of view. So again, I've got my heel to arch alignment, my hand is down, watch for my shoulder under here. So this is not shoulder, that's skin. I want you to see just cloth. You see how my whole shoulder is underneath, and to help me just a little more, I'm going to swoosh myself in. So my shoulder is to the outside, this is super important. I take my hand to the outer edge of my foot, so my fingers should be about in alignment with my pinky toe. I'm going to sort of push my shoulder into the back of my knee. Now notice how much my elbows are bent. And just like an elevator, I'm going to press down into my hands, going up, and my foot comes off the floor. Okay, shown from a different view. Shoulder, under, push to squish. Hand comes down near the foot, back foot is pressing flat. I press down, and my foot is up. Okay? Now, assuming that's a little bit challenging for you, because it is challenging for some people, and part of this has to do with how far you can forward fold. If you can't get your shoulder way under, then let's say I'm just not all the way under, then I straighten my arms and my leg isn't going anywhere because I have no leverage. My shoulder's here. It's not pressing up to lift anything. But let's say I don't have huge leverage and my shoulder is on the inside. What I can do to compensate is take this foot and see if I can touch my opposite wrist. And if it's really hard, if it feels so heavy on that foot, sort of scoot it over, scoot, 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 and then touch the wrist. Okay, seen from a different viewpoint. Under, oh, shoulder is up here, so I didn't make it quite under, my arms are straight, and boop. I just take it like you've got a toe magnet on your opposite wrist, okay? Bring it in. Okay, once you got that, you're down low. I'm going to go into the full thing with my shoulder nice and low. My hands press down, my shoulder presses into the back of the knee. That's important too for the leverage. I'm going to take my foot over to my other wrist and see if I can just come onto my fingertips like this. Okay? If that's easy, we're going to play with just sort of lifting up the hand. But if this is brand new to you, keep it sort of low so you're like, ah! Okay. Down, okay? You always want to have a catch so you can save yourself if these things don't work out so great. Okay, so you got that. Let's take our heel to arch alignment. Squish, push. My shoulder presses into the back of my leg, my hand goes down, my foot goes over, fingertips. Little lift, and if that's easy, big lift. Like you're giving me a high five. Now notice when you do this, if the body has a tendency to sort of cave in like this, which is normal, you're going to try to press your shoulders backwards. So you're trying to make sort of an up against an imaginary wall action here. Okay? Shown from another angle. Under. Squish and push. You see my shoulder? Hand goes down. Push my shoulder in. Move it over. Now again, there's a tendency to stick out my butt. I'm going to pull it forward. And as my leg sort of hugs my arm here, it helps to create stability for my pose. Okay. So once you get that, we get to go into the fancy version of this. Now the fancy version, don't get too stressed out if your leg doesn't all the way. That's like the fancy-ist version, but you know what? Fancy version is fancy, I'll admit, but it's actually not the final pose. Let's do fancy, then we'll do final. Shoulder in, push and squish, bring it to the outside. Wrist magnet, hand lifts up, and this time instead of going up to the sky, I'm going to come down like a dive bomb over the top of the foot, grab from the pinky toe edge, and see if I can start to straighten. Now this might be about as far as you can get, but if you can, press the leg straight behind you and roll your shoulder open. You see how the arm is up by my ear? And I just sort of look up to the sky. So again, what I'm trying to do is flatten myself out against an imaginary wall here, because what's the tendency? Is always to cave in on yourself, which we do not want to do. Okay, so that one is a huge rotation on the shoulder. So here's the good news. The final variation is going to take that rotation out of the shoulder. Here's the bad news. It's a little bit harder because you don't have the leverage for support. So we take our leg forward. We have our heel to arch alignment. Hand on the inside. Squish and push and press, all those things. Hand comes down. Press like an elevator. The foot comes over. Now this time, as my hand comes up, I'm going to take my leg back and lean up against an imaginary wall. I know it sounds easier, but there's nothing holding onto my foot to stop it from rolling down my leg, or sliding, I should say. Legs don't do a lot of rolling. So, main keys are, as the leg extends, press the hips forward. Among other things, it's going to take the leg to the arm. It's going to sort of press it in to help secure it. One more time. About heel to arch, make sure that back foot stays flat and the back leg stays strong. If you collapse that leg, you collapse everything. Arm on the inside, squish and push. Place the hand down, shoulder presses in to the back of the leg. Press down to lift that foot, arm goes up, and start to extend your leg out. Back foot is your anchor, don't forget about it. Hand comes down to release, and you just did yourself a fine Visvamitrasana, or at least I did. I hope you had fun with it. This is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. Have an awesome day.